Therefore, we should take Bhagavad Gita as it is directed by the personality of Godhead Himself in the 4th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. Lord says, Imam vivas yogam proktam aham
Uktavam aham
avyayam vivasana manavi praha manur ishvakave bravit ivam parampara praptam imam rajas
sayogi
vidhu sakalena mahata yogo nastaha parantapa sa
evayam
mayate
dya
tya yogah proktah puratana bhakto simi
sakacheti
sakacheti rasyam he idam
itad
uttamam. Here the Lord informs Arjuna that this system of yoga, the Bhagavad Gita, was first spoken on the sun god, and the sun god explained it to Manu, and Manu explained it to Ishvaku. And in that way, by disciplic succession, one speaker after another, this yoga system has been coming down. But in the course of time, it has become lost. Consequently, the Lord has to speak it again, this time to Arjuna on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. He tells Arjuna that he is relating this supreme secret to him because Arjuna is his devotee and his friend. The purport of this is that Bhagavad Gita is treatise which is especially
it's called treatise
which is especially meant for the devotee of the Lord. There are three classes of transcendentalists, namely
treatise. Yes, go ahead.
Namely Jnani, the Yogi, the Bhakta, or the impersonalist, the meditator and the devotee. Here the Lord clearly tells Arjuna that he is making him the first receiver of a new parampara, disciplic succession, because the old succession was broken. It was the Lord's wish, therefore, to establish another parampara in the same line of thought that was coming down from the sun god to others. And it was his wish that his teaching be distributed anew by Arjuna. He wanted Arjuna to become the authority in understanding the Bhagavad Gita. So we see Bhagavad Gita is instructed to Arjuna especially because Arjuna was a devotee of the Lord, a direct student of Krishna and his intimate friend. Therefore, Bhagavad Gita is best understood by a person who has qualities similar to Arjuna's. That is to say, he must be a devotee in a direct relationship with the Lord. As soon as one becomes a devotee of Lord, he also has a direct relationship with the Lord. That is a very elaborate subject matter, but briefly it can be stated that a devotee is in a relationship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead in one of the 5 different ways. One may be a devotee in a passive state. Second, one may be a devotee in an active state. Third, one may be a devotee as a friend. Fourth, one may be a devotee as a parent. Fifth, one may be a devotee as a conjugal lover. Arjuna was in a relationship with the Lord as a friend. Of course, there is a gulf of difference between this friendship and the friendship found in the material world. This is a transcendental friendship which cannot be had by everyone. Of course, everyone has a particular relationship with the Lord, and the relationship is evoked by the perfection of devotional service. But the present status of our life, not only have we forgotten the Supreme Lord, but we have forgotten our eternal relationship with the Lord. Every living being out of the many billions and trillions of living beings has a particular relationship with the Lord eternally, that is called Swarupa. By the process of devotional service, one can revive that Swarupa, and that stage is called Swarupa Siddhi, a perfection of one's constitutional position. So Arjuna was a devotee and he was in touch with Supreme Lord in a friendship. How Arjuna accepted this Bhagavad Gita should be noted. His manner of acceptance is given in the 10th chapter, 10 verse 10.12-14. Arjuna Vacha.
देवश्री नारदस्पदा असितो देवलो व्यासः स्वयं चैव प्रविशिने सर्वमेतद्रुतं मन्ये यन्मां वदसि केशव नाहि ते भगवान् वृत्तिं विदुर्देवनादानवः.
Go ahead.
Arjuna said, "You are the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the ultimate abode, the purest and absolute truth. You are the eternal, transcendental, original person, the unborn, the greatest." All the great sages such as Narada, Sita, Devala, Vyasa confirm this truth about you, and now you yourself are declaring it to me. O Krishna, I totally accept as truth all that you have told me. Neither the demigods nor the demons, O Lord, can understand your personality. After hearing Bhagavad Gita from the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Arjuna accepted Krishna as Param Brahma, the Supreme Brahman. Every living being is Brahman, but the Supreme living being or Supreme Personality of Godhead is the Supreme Brahman. Param Dhama means that he is the supreme rest or abode of everything. Pavitram means he is pure, untainted by material contamination. Purusham means that he is the supreme enjoyer. Savattam, Sasvatam, eternal, Divyam, transcendental. Adidevam, the original Supreme Personality of Godhead. Ajam, the unborn. And Vibhum, the greatest. Now one may think that because the Krishna was the friend of Arjuna, Arjuna was telling him all this by way of flattery. But Arjuna, just to drive out this kind of a doubt from the minds of the readers of Bhagavad Gita, substantiates these phrases in the next verse, when he says that Krishna is accepted as the Supreme Personality of Godhead not only by himself but by the authorities like Narada, Asita, Devala and Vasudeva. These are the greatest personalities who distribute the Vedic knowledge as it is accepted by all acharyas. Therefore Arjuna tells Krishna that he accepts whatever he says to be completely perfect. Sarvam itat Ratam Manne. I accept everything you say to be true. Arjuna also says that the personality of the Lord is very difficult to understand and that he cannot be known even by the great demigods. This means that the Lord cannot even be known by personalities greater than human being. So how can a human being understand Lord Krishna without becoming his devotee? Therefore, Bhagavad Gita should be taken up in a spirit of devotion. One should not think that he is equal to Krishna, nor should he think that Krishna is an ordinary personality or even a very great personality. Lord Krishna is a supreme personality of Godhead. So, according to statements of Bhagavad Gita or statements of Arjuna, the person who is trying to understand the Bhagavad Gita, we should at least theoretically accept Sri Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And with that submissive spirit, we can understand the Bhagavad Gita. Unless one reads the Bhagavad Gita in a submissive spirit, it is very difficult to understand Bhagavad Gita because it is a great mystery. Just what it is Bhagavad Gita.
From here until here I've done the homework. If you want I can read the high level summary.
1 second. Finish the paragraph. You finished?
Just what is Bhagavad Gita? The purpose of Bhagavad Gita is to deliver mankind from the nescience of material existence.
Do you know what nescience means? Nescience means ignorance. It's a fancy word, but it just means ignorance.
Which word?
Nescience.
No, which word is
Nescience. Nescience. Second paragraph on page 7.
It's science.
Yeah, like no science.
Any science.
Go ahead, finish that paragraph.
Every man is in difficulty in so many ways. As Arjuna also was in difficulty in having to fight the battle of Kurukshetra, Arjuna surrendered unto Sri Krishna and consequently his Bhagavad Gita was spoken.
This Bhagavad.
This Bhagavad Gita was spoken. Not only Arjuna but every one of us is full of anxieties because of this material existence. Our very existence is an atmosphere of non-existence. Actually, we are not meant to be threatened by non-existence. Our existence is eternal, but somehow or other we are put into asat. Asat refers to that which does not exist.
Okay. You wanted to say something?
probably until here I have done the homework. I couldn't finish until page 13. So if you have asked until page 12, but I did until page 6 and the homework was major theme highlighted from page 3 to page 12. So basically whatever paragraphs we have read. So first is what? So Bhagavad Gita is Gita Upanishad, it's the essence of Vedas. There are many versions, but as it is version is the most authenticated. Who is speaking? So Bhagavad Gita speaker is Krishna, and it should be accepted as it is because it is directed by a speaker who is Lord Krishna himself. And Lord Krishna is the Supreme Lord, as Lord himself said in Bhagavad Gita, as it is accepted in Brahma Samhita, all Puranas, Srimad Bhagavatam, that Krishna stu Bhagavan Swayam. So when it was spoken, Bhagavad Gita was spoken by Sun God to Manu, to Ikshvaku, and it was lost in time. And Lord spoke it again to Arjuna on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. Why? Why he spoke to Arjuna? Because Arjuna is his friend, devotee. And so who can understand, like, so three transcendentalists, Jnani, Yogi and Bhakta are there, and Lord through Arjuna is trying to re-establish the Lord re-established Parampara through speaking of Bhagavad Gita to Arjuna. So devotees, similarly devotees who have qualities similar to Arjuna can understand Bhagavad Gita. And there are 5 stages. The devotee, one may be devotee in a passive state, in active state, as a friend, as a parent, as a conjugal lover. And sixth paragraph is, what is the goal of Bhagavad Gita? Every living entity has a particular relationship with Lord eternally, that is called Swarupa. And by the process of devotional service, we can revive our Swarupa, and that stage is called Swarupa Siddhi. Then final, the 7th paragraph, how it is to be understood, how Arjuna understood Bhagavad Gita. So Arjuna understood that Krishna in chapter 10, verse 12 and 14, Krishna, you are Supreme Personality of Godhead, the ultimate abode, the purest, the absolute truth, eternal, transcendental, original person, unborn and greatest. So that's Krishna's understanding. And after effects of hearing Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna was that he accepted Krishna as Param Brahma. And
That was Arjuna's understanding.
Sorry.
That's the whole
Yeah,
point.
Arjuna, after, thing for Arjuna is that Arjuna accepted Krishna as Param Brahma, Param Dhama.
It's, in other words, Arjuna's understanding, that verse.
Yes. After effects of hearing Bhagavad Gita by Arjuna is that he accepted Krishna as Param Brahma, Param Dhama, Purisham, Pavitram, Shashvatam, Divyam, Adi Devam, Ajam, Vibhum. All sages like Narada, Asita, Devala, Vyasadeva accept him as Supreme Personality of Godhead. The last one I didn't do complete, but it is like how to read Bhagavad Gita in the spirit of devotion, in the submissive spirit. Unless one reads Bhagavad Gita in submissive spirit, it is very difficult to understand Bhagavad Gita because it's a great mystery. And then we have to, according to statements of Bhagavad Gita, the person who is trying to understand Bhagavad Gita, we should accept at least theoretically that Sri Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And with that submissive spirit, we can understand Bhagavad Gita. I had one question, Babuji. I don't know who is Asita and Devala.
You don't know who Asita and Devala are. They're great devotees. They're on the level of Narada and Vyasa. Okay, well, actually we were talking about the major themes. So the way to understand that is first thing that Prabhupada is saying is that you understand Bhagavad Gita from the Bhagavad Gita itself. That means no speculation. Almost every other Bhagavad Gita that's on the market is the personal speculation of somebody. It's not Bhagavad Gita as it is. So therefore, if you read all those other Bhagavad Gitas, you don't end up understanding who Krishna is. You understand that person's speculation of Krishna. That's why Prabhupada named this Bhagavad Gita as it is, because the number one expert on the Bhagavad Gita is Arjuna. Therefore, if you read Bhagavad Gita as it is, you come to the same conclusion as Arjuna did. If you read these other Bhagavad Gitas, you come to the same conclusion as the author, which is invariably different than Arjuna's conclusion. So, therefore, that's why Prabhupada wrote Bhagavad Gita as it is, because all the other Bhagavad Gita translations mislead people. So we have to understand Bhagavad Gita from the Bhagavad Gita itself. And we should not speculate. Like, oh, I think it might mean this, or perhaps it means something a little different. And secondly, who are the actual authorities of Bhagavad Gita? Arjuna is the number one authority. Then there is Ramanujacharya. He wrote Bhagavad Gita Bhasya. He's an authority. Madhavacharya is an authority. To double check himself, he took his translation and commentary on the Bhagavad Gita to Badrinath, or Badrika Ashram, about, I think, 1400 years ago. Walked up there from South India and actually met Vyasadeva, showed him his translation, and got a stamp of approval of Vyasadeva. Now, if you and I go up to Badrika Ashram, we won't see Vyasadeva, although he's there. He's writing the Vedas now for the next Satya Yuga. That's why Madhvacharya was able to meet him. But because he's a pure devotee, he was able to see him. Okay, so, and then Nimbarkacharya and Vishnu Swami and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, these are the real experts on Bhagavad Gita. And all of these persons, including Sankaracharya, have said that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So, who do we believe? Do we believe a speculator, or should we believe the opinion of not only Krishna himself, not only Arjuna, but Narada Muni, Brahma, Bhisma Pitamaha, Lord Shiva himself, and Yamaraj, and of course our Acharyas, Sankaracharya, Ramanujacharya, Madhvacharya, Nimbarka Swami, Vishnu Swami, and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. These are the greatest personalities in history of this world. They all affirm the same truth, that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of God. Now, Krishna says it about himself. He says, Aham sarva sipabhava matak sarvam pravartate. He said that I am the origin of everything. Everything material and spiritual comes from me. Those persons who know this surrender unto me and serve me with devotion. So he's saying it about himself. Then Arjuna says the same thing about Krishna. Param Brahma, Param Dhamma, Pavitam, Param Bhavam, Purusham Sasvatam Divyam, Adideva Majan Vibhu. And then the greatest sages in the ancient Vedic tradition, like Narada, Vyasa, Devala, Asita, Ahustvam, Rishaya, Sarve, Devala, Naradastata, Asita, Devala, no, not Devala, it says Vyasa, and then Devala, Asito, Swayameva Pravistime. So these greatest sages of all time, they also say it. So you see Prabhupada is going through a list of all the people who are greatest authorities in the Vedic history and greatest authorities in all history. And they're all affirming that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And then Krishna says it himself. And then the number one expert of Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna, he also says it. So this is establishing, this is validation of the truth about Krishna. Okay, so that's the beginning. This is a major theme that runs through the Bhagavad Gita, is the how to understand it. You understand it from what it says, not from what other people say. And how do we know that? Well, we should arrive at the same conclusion that Arjuna did. He decided to surrender to Krishna, and knowing him to be the Supreme Personality of Godhead. If you come to any other conclusion, you have not read the Bhagavad Gita. You read some other book, or you imagine something yourself. Okay, and then, so number one is you understand Bhagavad Gita from the statements of Krishna and Arjuna and the purports of Srila Prabhupada. Then secondly, you have to know the list of all the people who are the greatest authorities and have declared that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of God. If you ever read that booklet I wrote, The Flaws of Modern Hinduism, I more or less exhaustively give all the proof that, statements by all the Mahajanas and all the great personalities in Vedic history. But here Prabhupada runs through a list of them. Then, the next theme is that everything in the spiritual is based on relationships. And And the ultimate relationship is between the individual devotee and Krishna. And there's different types of intimate relationships. So everything you see in this world is a perverted reflection of what's in the spiritual. So therefore this world is considered the dictionary of the spiritual. Just like you see the shadow of my hand. When I move my fingers, if you look at the shadow, they're moving, right? Now, is the shadow of my hand? No. If you try and shake hands with the shadow, nothing happens, right? But it does indicate that there is a hand. So what we're seeing in this world is a shadow, perverted reflection of what's in the spiritual. Now, what does that mean? A perverted reflection means that what you're seeing here is an upside down thing that's in the spiritual. So if there's something called love in the spiritual world, what we see here is lust. It's not real love. If you see, let's say, a tree in this world, that's a perverted reflection of the trees in the spiritual. The tree in this world can only give, well, some don't give any fruit at all, but some give some fruit, right? In the spiritual world, the trees are kalparikshas. They can give anything, not just fruit. They can give anything, and unlimitedly. Right? So what we're seeing here is a perverted reflection. Perverted means it's upside down, and reflection means it's not actually the real thing. It's just a shadow. Shadow indicates there's a real thing, but it's not the real thing. But it's an indication that there is a real thing. There is a tree in the spiritual world, but it's a kalpavriksha tree. There is a cow in the spiritual world, but it is a surabi cow. It's not a regular cow like here. Right? And the cow is not limited to just giving milk. The cow can give anything, any desirable thing. So, to understand correctly how to see this material world is very important. We are taught in school how not to see it correctly, specifically. And right in the preface, Prabhupada explained that the major problem we have is, by the spell of illusion, one tries to be happy by serving his or her personal sense gratification in different forms, which will never make him or her happy. Instead of satisfying his or her own personal material senses, a person has to satisfy the senses of the Lord. That is the highest perfection of life. Now, in this last semester in Sammamish, 5 kids have committed suicide that were going to high school. And Skyline only. Other kids have committed suicide in Issaquah High School and so forth. Now the question is, they're only young kids. They're only like 14, 15, 16, 17 years old. Why are they committing suicide? First of all, their parents are probably very well off because they live in Sammamish. Right? The school is supposed to be a very good school. So why do you think they're committing suicide? Anybody have an idea? You know what suicide means, right? They're killing themselves.
Were they Indian?
I don't know.
Indian kids
No, so based on that.
What, Indian kids don't commit suicide? Is that what you're trying to say?
they do when they get best marks in exams.
Yeah, well,
So study,
no, you see, this is a shocking number. 5 kids in this semester have committed suicide.
So study pressure, peer pressure,
Huh?
peer pressure.
Actually, it's more of a family issue.
That's right.
Family.
Depression.
They were scared of
Father,
the
mother
sacks.
doesn't.
They were what?
Scared of the sacks.
Scared of the test?
The
The
sacks.
SAT test?
Yeah.
How do you know that? You heard that from other people?
No.
Oh, you don't know. Okay. No, it's much deeper than that. you see, here it's they're trying. You know, they're just awakening. You know, they're young kids. They're just getting awakened to being a man or a woman, right? And they're trying to be happy by serving their personal sense gratification. Right? Now, this is very difficult for young kids, because all of a sudden, as soon as a child attains puberty, they become overwhelmed with the desires they had in their last life that were not fulfilled. They don't understand how it's happening, but it happens at puberty. And as soon as that happens, a child suddenly is like confused, because they're attracted to things and they don't know exactly why, but it's just a natural attraction. This is called kutam in Sanskrit. It's called a sinful disposition. It's a carryover from the previous life. Don't put it on the floor. Yeah, don't leave the Bhagavat Gita. So, sinful disposition is, we don't even understand it ourselves. We're just attracted to certain things. Now, it's not always bad. Maybe someone was a good person, a very good person in the previous life. But the fact that they take rebirth, or we take rebirth again in this material world, means that we had unfinished material desires, and those desires awaken when you're 12, 13 years old, you attain puberty. So, many of these kids have an awakening for things that they were not fulfilled in their previous life, and they become overwhelmed by it psychologically. And when they attempt to satisfy their senses in different ways that they wanted to previously, and don't succeed, they get extremely frustrated. And that frustration can sometimes lead to depressed psychological state, and sometimes they commit suicide. And also, if they get bad association in the school, they might smoke marijuana, they might start taking drugs, they might drink alcohol, and all kinds of strange things happen to these kids, and they're not prepared for it. And they just think that the goal of life is to enjoy sense gratification, and they're not getting any sense gratification, so they get extremely frustrated. And either now, because of the internet, they try and take shelter in the internet, and using, WhatsApp and Snap, Instagram, all those things, and communicating, and sometimes they meet really nasty people on the internet. That, like one of the worst things is, if you get cut off as a friend. Sometimes kids commit suicide because they got cut off as a friend, or because they're being bullied by somebody on the internet. So all these pressures are there. So we have to understand that instead of satisfying our own personal material senses, we should learn to satisfy the senses of Krishna. That is the highest perfection of life. And Prabhupada says here, the Lord wants this, and He demands it. So as long as we don't understand that, it's like you buy a brand new car, you leave the dealership and go off in the wrong direction. So it's better to have an old car but go in the right direction, right? But you go off in the wrong direction and you keep going, and keep going, and keep going, you never get to where you wanted to get to. So if right from the beginning, already the fact that we take birth, that means we have unfinished, unfulfilled material desires. And secondly, if we're taught at an early age that the goal of life is to satisfy as many material desires as possible, then we're going in the wrong direction. We'll never get to where we should be. which is going back to Godhead, not taking birth again, and developing love with Krishna and sharing that love with others. Yes.
So what are the first beings?
Speak louder.
So what were the first beings' desires?
What?
For the first beings.
Yes.
So what would have been their desires like?
See, now this is the point. You say first beings. You cannot determine who the first beings are. We're talking about something that's eternal. First of all, first only happens in the material world, not the spiritual. Spiritual world, everything is eternal. There's no such thing as first. Yeah, Krishna is the origin of everything, but everything is eternal. So first is only in the material world, first and last, beginning, middle, and end. It's only in the material world. Time is linear here. Time in the spiritual world is eternal. So our problem is we're trying to figure out things from a position where everything is perverted and dark. Therefore it says, Tamasima Jyotirgama. Let us go from the darkness to the light. That's what happens when you read Bhagavat Gita carefully. You go from darkness to light. In the light, you can see things as they are. If you're trying to see things in the dark, will you ever see them properly? No. So we have to reprogram, reboot our computer, right? And get rid of all the viruses. The biggest virus is the purpose of life is sense gratification. Eat, drink, and be merry. Okay, so this is a major theme. The major theme is, first of all, the reason we're here is because we rejected Krishna voluntarily. Because we did it originally, we do it every day on a daily basis also.
So why that rejection happened? I mean, even in the past, when it is all good, means you are already in the state of
Okay,
goodness.
let me ask you something. Have you ever told a lie? How did that happen? You're an honest guy. Is it? How did it happen?
Situation.
See. Now that's the answer to the question. You're an honest person, but yet you told a lie due to a situation. So when we put ourselves in certain situations, then we'll do things that normally we would not do. But we have that freedom. We have the freedom of two choices in life. Either we follow Krishna's instructions or we don't follow. Two choices. And those choices are in the spiritual world also. As soon as we decide not to follow Krishna, we come to the material world. Now, let's say you go to Costco and you want to buy 2 pounds of bananas. But to get to the bananas, you have to walk through the televisions, the cameras, the yard stuff, the cell phones, and everything is on sale. Right? Now, do you think you'll get to the bananas without buying something? No, you're going to, I told the story previously when a person went to buy some bananas, he came back with a new television and he forgot the bananas. He had to go back a second time to get the bananas. Right? So you see, it's a situation. You put yourself in a certain situation and you get compromised. Did someone force you to get into that situation? No, nobody forced you. I mean, sometimes maybe, but usually no. You put yourself in that situation. Okay. So then, once Prabhupada establishes the authority of the validation of Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and you should learn this validation. All the people that validate Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Because this gives confidence that if you accept Krishna as Supreme Personality of Godhead, you're not making a mistake. Even though, someone said, no, it's Jesus. No, it's Muhammad. No, another one says, no, it's, Joseph Smith. Another one says, no, it's somebody else. You have to be sure that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That's why Prabhupada gives an exhaustive list of authorities who have validated that he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And this book is the number one validation because Krishna says it about himself and Arjuna also accepts. So, what's good for the goose is good for the gander, as they say in English. If Arjuna accepts, what's that say about us?
We should follow.
We should also accept. But Arjuna, he accepted 5,000 years ago, we're still talking about it. You know anything else that happened 5,000 years ago that you're still talking about? No. That means this is valid.
So does it indicate there is a cycle as well then?
A cycle.
Yeah, I mean we are doing all this stuff and then we go and with all the purification, but still the way we came back from there again here, so it means that there is a cycle as well.
No. This is all about breaking that cycle. We're in the cycle now, going up and down in the material world, 8,400,000 species. Spinning our wheels, as they say in English. That means going nowhere. This is to break the cycle. It's like this. Do you like to make the same mistake over and over again? Huh? Is it a pleasure to make the same mistake over and over? No. So already all of us have made the mistake 8,400,000 times of wanting to stay in the material world. This is the only chance we have of getting out in the human form of life. Even as a demigod, it's harder to get out than as a human being because there's so much material pleasure. People think, oh, this is it. I've hit the pinnacle of existence. I don't want, just like I knew this one gentleman, he's living in Medina. You know where Medina is?
Yeah.
One day he told me, I want to always be born in Medina. I said, what? So I want to always be born in Medina. I want to be like this, life after life after life. I said, yeah, you will be, but you might be a rabbit or a rat or a cockroach. I said, no, I want to be just like I am. I want to have my house. I want to have my money. I want to, It's silly, right? As if he has control over choosing his next body. He doesn't. That's another fallacy. You have no way of knowing what you're going to be in the next life. It's all controlled by Yamaraj and Krishna, depending on what you've done. You can say, well, I'm a good guy. I don't eat meat. I go to the temple. I give donations. But you'll be surprised to take birth again. Why? Because simply the mode of goodness is not good enough for liberation. It's not good enough. Mode of goodness is also conditioning. Just like that man who was telling me, I want to always be born in Medina. Just like this, I want to continue birth after birth. Well, he's a good person. He doesn't lie, doesn't cheat, right? But he's attached to sense gratification in Medina. Right? He's a good person. He's not a bad person, not an evil person. But still, it's not good enough to get liberated. Why? Because you can't get liberated simply by some mechanical process. The only way we can get liberated is by having genuine love for Krishna. That's the whole message of Bhagavat Gita. We can't even have genuine love in our own families. How are we going to have it with Krishna? Right? You have to think about it seriously. We can't even have it in our own family. So, therefore, it's not a mechanical process. Mechanical process is you bring food home, You pay the rent, you pay the mortgage, you have the washing machine, you have the dryer, you have this thing, you have that thing, and you're providing in a regular way. Fine. That doesn't necessarily produce love. It produces, let's say, stability. It might produce respect to a certain degree, but it's not necessarily love. So, if we can't have real love in our own family, how are we going to develop love for Krishna? It requires extra input, more energy put into the system. Where is that energy going to come from? From the holy name of Krishna, from regulated life of deity worship and service and sacrifice. Now we're sacrificing for our family, but we should sacrifice for the bigger family. That's Achyuta Gotra, Krishna's family. So you have to think seriously about these things. But we will not do it unless we know who Krishna is with certitude. The reason we're here is because we revolted against Krishna, and in order to engage in sinful activity, you have to forget Krishna completely. So Maya's job is to help us forget Krishna completely. Then we can do all kinds of nonsensical things. But if you begin to remember Krishna all the time, then you can't do any nonsense anymore. Well, let's say you have a child, and you teach your child right and wrong. Right? But you know one day that child's going to grow up and they're not going to be with you anymore. So you only have maybe 12 years, 15 years to teach them right from wrong. Then they're on their own. Right? So how do you know you did a good job? You won't know for sure until, the child gets older and is on their own. So in the same way, one thing that does influence everyone is genuine love. It's the strongest force in this world. And we usually define ourselves by those few moments in everyone's life that we actually felt genuine love from someone. It could be a grandmother, it could be a grandfather, it could be a father, mother, or a next door neighbor. It might not even be a member of the family. But someone did something for us and convinced us this person loves me. And it touches you. And it stays with you the rest of your life. Now, other things can touch you also, like very bad things. They can also define who you are when very bad things happen to you. Right? But when something wonderful happens and it's a genuine manifestation of love, it defines who you are. Right? So this whole thing about Bhagavat Gita, this is actually a love story. It's a love story between Krishna and Arjuna to Krishna. This is real love. Right? Krishna is very patiently. Arjuna is something like a child. He gets angry and refuses to listen to the father. Right? But because Krishna is such a nice person, he doesn't revolt, walk away. He stays there and he surrenders in his confusion. He said, I don't know what to do. You tell me. He's not following what Krishna said. He throws down his bow and arrow, but he said, I don't really know what to do. But I accept you as my guru. I know you are my best well-wisher. So you tell me what to do. And then Krishna very patiently, doesn't get angry, very patiently, one by one, answers every one of Arjuna's questions. Because the answers are so good, Arjuna softens until he says, Param Brahma, Param Dhamma, Pavitram, Paramam Bhava. I accept you as the Supreme Personality of God. And then the real statement And this is this real statement of faith. Sarvam itadritam manye yanman vadasikeshava. Nahite Bhagavan Vyaktim Vidra Deva Nadanava. It's 10th chapter 14th verse where he says, "O Krishna, I totally accept as truth all that you have told me."
Which one?
10th chapter 14th verse. I totally accept as truth everything that you have told me. So that is the absolute, let's say, 10th chapter 14th verse. 10th chapter 10, verse 14. You have to go to chapter 10. So that is the absolute statement of faith, that he has so much love and respect for Krishna that anything Krishna tells him, that's what he accepts as true. That means all his doubts have been erased. That was after 10 chapters of Bhagavad Gita. Because Krishna answered all his questions. Everything after that is just supplemental information Krishna gives him. Okay. So, this love story between Arjuna and Krishna, going from rejection of Krishna's order to absolute acceptance of Krishna's order. That journey of Arjuna is the journey that we are going to go on. But imagine that you are Arjuna. You have your doubts. We already revolted against Krishna. That's why we're here. So the purpose of Bhagavad Gita is to deliver, this is the next theme, the purpose of Bhagavad Gita is to deliver mankind from the ignorance of material existence. In other words, material existence is ignorance. Therefore, tamasima jyotirgama. Go from the ignorance to the light of knowledge, right? So this is the Bhagavad Gita is the story of tamasima jyotirgama. Going from ignorance to light.
Why was material existence created at all?
What?
Why was material existence created at all?
Why, when they build a new city, they build a jail? You tell me. Because they know there's always going to be a certain number of people that are criminal. So material existence is the jail for the material people. Now, what is a jail for? The jail is to rehabilitate the perverted mentality of the criminal so that he can go back or she can go back and live a normal life in society. Right? That's the hope. Now, some people are intransigent. That means they'll never learn the lesson. So they'll stay in jail the rest of their life. There's this one man, he's been in jail 75 years. So they asked him, they said, Granddaddy, they said, he's the oldest person, he's been the longest person in the United States in jail. He's a black guy, right? So they asked him, they said, look, we're willing to let you out. He said, no, I don't want to leave. So I don't want to go out. I'm happy here. That's our story. We're in jail, but we keep saying, I'm happy here. I don't want to go. You know. I don't want to go back to Ghana. This is, you know, I want to be born in Medina, life after life, like my friend. So, yeah, if you stay in jail long enough, you know, going back out into society is fearful. You know, no, I don't want to go back there. I have to pay rent and I have to work. And no, here I just, you know, I can watch television all day long. I can go to the gym. I don't have to cook. They give me 3 square meals a day. You know, I can sleep all, you know, 10, 12, 14 hours. You know, nobody bothers me. I'm an old man now. You know, so they told him, we're going to let you out. He said, I don't want to go out. That's our problem. We're in jail. We don't want to leave. Because we have no idea of how good it is in the spiritual world. We have no idea. We don't know what it's like to not get old, not get sick, not have anxiety, to feel genuine love, to be in the company of Krishna. We don't know. We're ignorant. We think this is Vaikuntha for me, paying taxes and getting tickets and getting laid off and having financial problems, family problems. Family problems are the best. That's the best. That's the best nectar, right? So people don't, and people dying, people that you love dying, they think this is the normal life. This is not normal life. This is the life of prisoners. So the next theme is, what is actually the purpose of this Bhagavad Gita? It's to get people out of the ignorance of material existence. Material existence is ignorance. Just going to the toilet is ignorance. Isn't it? Everybody has to go to the toilet so many times a day. It's ignorance. So we don't realize how, let's say, inauspicious it is to have a material body covering our soul. We think it's we think it's normal. It is not normal. Normal life is having our spiritual body. But we've been so dumbed down by existence and material world, we accept these things as normal. Okay, so that's why great personalities like Narada Muni, they feel so sorry for the people that they'll do anything possible to help them, knowing that, this is not our real life. So then the next theme is what is the beginning of spiritual life? The beginning of spiritual life is when you realize there's something wrong with this material life. And you start asking questions. Why am I suffering? Why everything I'm doing is to be happy, but unhappiness is coming. And when I'm happy, it just lasts a little bit, and then it goes away, and I'm struggling again. Right? And why am I getting old? Why am I getting sick? Why people I love are dying? You start asking questions. Why these things are happening? I once asked my dad. I said, Dad, I was like, I think I was like 10 years old. I said, every morning we get up and go to the bathroom, brush my teeth, come down and eat breakfast, and I go to school, and I come back for lunch, and I go back to school, and I come back for dinner, and I do my homework, and I go to sleep. And then the next day we do the same thing. I said, what's the purpose of all this? I don't understand. He slapped me in the head and said, don't ask a stupid question. He couldn't answer me, because he didn't know himself, right? And he said, don't ask a stupid question. I didn't think it was a stupid question. I was trying to figure out, why are we doing all this? I didn't understand what the purpose was. So, when you begin to ask the question, what is the purpose of all this? That's the awakening of spiritual life. But there are only a few people that actually ask that question. And most people don't ask, like my dad, don't ask stupid questions. So, we have to understand what is exactly the purpose of human life. So that is a major theme in the Bhagavad Gita. And then it says here, the Lord descends specifically to reestablish the real purpose of life when man forgets that purpose. So today, people have really forgotten that purpose. Therefore, Krishna sent Prabhupada and Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, Kishore Babaji, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, to reestablish the real purpose of life in the minds of people. Now the other thing is, Arjuna is not really ignorant. He's put into that position so that Krishna can speak the Bhagavad Gita. We should not think that Arjuna is revolting. He's simply put into that position so that Krishna can speak the Bhagavad Gita. Okay, now the next major theme is there are 5 basic subjects in the Bhagavad Gita. Ishvara, Jiva, Kala, Prakriti, Karma. These are the 5 major subjects of Bhagavad Gita. This is what's going to be explained. If you understand those 5 things completely, you are the greatest philosopher in the world. Okay, so then he talks a lot about that. What is Prakriti? Who is Krishna? Who is the Jiva? And if you don't understand who is Krishna, then it's easy to think that I am Krishna. In fact, most people think that I am God. Therefore they meditate. Soham. Soham. You ever hear that mantra? Soham. Yeah, it means I am God. Okay. So then it explains these 5 tattvas, and in these 5 tattvas, who is God, who is the Jiva? The Jiva has 2 positions, liberated and conditioned. So he explains those 2 conditions about the Jiva. And what is Kala and so forth. But he spends a long time on explaining the position of the Jiva, either in conditioning or liberated. Yeah, you should never let children play by themselves. They should be a babysitter. So then, the next major theme here is what is the false ego? And that is our homework for next week. You should actually write an explanation of what is the false ego. What is the real ego and what is the false ego? The false ego is the reason we're entrapped in this material world. It's like the silkworm. The silkworm forms a cocoon around itself and becomes prisoner in the cocoon that it made itself. So we are all like the silkworm. We're prisoners of our own false ego. So if we understand what is the false ego, then we can get help to get out of the false ego and come to the real ego. At that point, you will become happy in life and satisfied. As long as we have a false ego, we're never satisfied. We ruin our relationships with other people. And we're always in trouble. It's only when we come to the real ego. Ego means who I am, actually. Right? And that's related to the real constitutional position of the jiva. So that you need to explain the constitutional position of jiva and real ego and false ego. That is homework for next week. You should try and understand this concept. This is a key concept for those people who want to be free of the cycle of birth and death. We need some basic understanding. Every one of these words has to be defined by the Bhagavat Gita, by Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita. Because if you look up in the dictionary, ego, what does it say? Look up.
Say pride.
Huh?
Pride.
Does it say pride?
Self-esteem. Yeah.
Self-esteem.
Self-esteem or pride.
Self-esteem.
Okay. So now we'll compare what Prabhupada says, or what Krishna says, to what the dictionary says. Because I'm saying all these words have to be redefined. They don't always give the right definition. What does it say?
It says a person's sense of self-esteem or self-importance.
Okay.
The other thing is the part of the mind that mediates between the conscious and the unconscious. It is responsible for reality testing and a sense of personal identity.
It's a bunch of gobbledygook. Nonsense. Yeah. These are all materialistic. See, all these words have to be redefined. Okay, so on page 11 in my book, maybe it's page 10 or 12 in your book,
What is this consciousness?
Is it what is this consciousness?
okay, no, it's my page 13. Yeah, it says, in contaminated consciousness, I am means I am the Lord of all I survey. I am the enjoyer. The world revolves because every living being thinks that he is the Lord and the creator of the material world. Material consciousness has two psychic divisions. One is that I am the creator, and the other is that I am the enjoyer. But actually the Supreme Lord is both the creator and the enjoyer. You see, just the opposite. So this is what the false ego is, thinking, Ishwaroham, aham bogi, siddhoham, balavam, siddhi. This is the false ego.
Which Veda you have
And that is the
That is 16.
16th chapter.
16.
Yeah, it's describing the demon.
Yeah.
Ishvara Anam?
1 second, I'll tell you.
Ishwaroham aham bogi. Siddhoham balavan
Siddhi.
balavan siddhi. Siddhoham balavan siddhi.
Ishwaroham, I am Ishwara. Aham Bogi, I am the enjoyer. And so, okay, that is 16th chapter, verse number 13 to 15.
16, 14, 13.
Yeah. Siddhoham balavam sukhi. I'm perfect, I'm powerful, and I'm happy. Sounds like, I don't know, President of the United States or something. Ishwaroham hambogi siddhoham balavan siddhi. Okay. And then also, on top of all that, adyo bijanavan asmi. That is, I am the richest person surrounded by aristocratic relatives.
Wow.
And then konyosti sadriso maya. There is none so powerful and happy as I am. And so forth. So this is all the false ego. Everybody has a false ego today. But everyone has a potential to return to the real ego. Real ego is Jivera Swarupahaya Nityera Krishnadas. My real constitutional position, Swarupa means the real constitutional position, is I am Krishna's eternal servant. When we come to that conclusion, that is our real ego. So you should write a paper. What is the false ego? What is the real ego? And what is the constitutional position of jiva, of me? What is my real constitutional position? Homework. Okay, any questions? So we went through a list of major themes. Maybe I might have missed something, but these are the things that we should be looking for. So you should print out these notes and send it to everyone.
Oh, these ones?
I pointed out the major themes.
Yes.
What? Did you write them down?
Yes, Lord.
So type them out and send them to everyone. And the homework, what is the real ego, what is the false ego, and what is the constitutional position of the jiva?
Prabhu, there was one point that was said, like everyone, all beings are Brahman. So what is the word Brahman?
Okay, so there is Brahman. Is it Brahma or Brahman?
Brahman. Brahman.
Brahman. Okay. Brahman means has different levels of meaning. There are 3 Brahmans. I'll tell you one second. I'll show you where it is in the Bhagavad Gita. Okay.
Is it the individual soul, the impersonal?
Huh?
Is it the individual soul, the impersonal, all-pervasive aspect of the Supreme?
That's one
In the
And the
concept
Supreme
of Brahman.
Personality of Godhead.
What?
Supreme Personality of Godhead. The Mahatattva or the total material substance.
Yeah, that's it.
that is there in the glossary.
Yeah. Those are the 3.
Glossary, page number 725.
720.
It's in the glossary.
That's it. Okay, let's take a look at 725.
I think chapter 13.
Huh?
What are we doing? Sorry, I
Any
lost.
chapter, Indra?
Brahman.
No, in the glossary B, A, B.
725. That's not. No. What verse is it? It's not
No, it's
7.
in glossary.
Glossary, that is a page
He
number
told the page number
725.
Mhm.
Oh, that is a different.
In the glossary.
Okay. Anyway, there are 3 conceptions of Brahman. It can refer to the Brahma Jyoti. It can refer to the living entity, and it can refer to the material nature,
Third is
the total material nature. Okay? So you have to understand it from the context.
So chapter 13, Prabhu.
Okay.
13.
Well, there it's talking about Vijnana Brahma and Ananda Brahma. No, that's not it. One second. Let me see. All right. Anyway, I will give you a more thorough answer not next week, but in the temple.
I have a question.
Huh?
I have a question.
Yes.
Who was the first human being on Earth?
Lord Brahma. And in the universe, not just the earth, in the whole universe. The Lord Brahma. But see, when I said first or last, it's only in the material world. In the spiritual world, everything is eternal. So you're also eternal. But your existence in the material world began at a certain time and it will end at a certain time. But your soul is eternal. It will never, it's never born, it never dies. But as long as you're attached to the body, you experience birth and death. You see? Just like if you're attached to your car, whatever happens to your car affects you. But yet, there are millions of cars. Whatever happens to all the other cars don't affect you. Really. You're only affected by what you're attached to. So if you're attached to your body, whatever happens to your body affects you. But if you're not attached to the body, you're attached to your soul and its eternal relationship with Krishna. You're not affected by anything. Let's say you are attached to a certain toy, and then someone picks up your toy and breaks it. Would it affect you?
Yes.
Yes, because you're attached to it. But can someone break your soul?
No.
No. So if you become attached to your soul, you're not affected by all these things. But as long as you're attached to the body or some material thing, you get affected by it.
Okay.
Yeah. Now, is it easy to get free of material attachments? No, it's not easy. It requires great effort. But actually, it's very easy if you just take the Krishna consciousness. You can easily transfer all your attachment from material things to Krishna. Then you're not affected anymore. As long as you're attached to material things, any little thing gets you upset, or makes you feel sad, or makes you feel happy. So all that sadness and happiness is actually it's not permanent. It lasts just a little bit of time. So, therefore, you're like a ping pong ball. You know what a ping pong ball does?
No.
It goes tick, tock, goes back and forth. So in life, as long as we're attached to material things, we go tick tock, like the ping pong ball, back and forth. We don't go anywhere. We're just being slammed back and forth, right? Until we break, and then they were thrown away. So, therefore, you need to transfer your attachments from the body and material things to Krishna. Then you have a chance to be happy. But as long as we're attached to material things, we're going to be tick-tock, sometimes happy, sometimes miserable. As you get older, there's more misery than happiness. When you're younger, you seem to think there's more happiness than misery. But as you get older, you realize there's much more misery than happiness. So, therefore, if you learn from an early age, like Narada Muni, to be attached to Krishna, then you avoid being tick-tock. You become steady. That's called dhira. Dhiras tatra namuyate. You become steady. You're no longer influenced by illusion, illusory happiness and misery. You're steady in both. Now the best example was Jad Bharat. He saw Maya Devi, or Durga Mata, step off the altar and kill these dacoits that were going to kill him and drink their blood. He wasn't moved at all. He wasn't afraid, he wasn't shocked. He saw what happened, and they were going to kill him. He wasn't afraid either. He was fixed in the knowledge of the soul. So, if you get fixed in the knowledge of the soul when you're young, you can avoid so much confusion and suffering throughout your life. Okay? That's why we're reading Bhagavat Gita. Okay? So, we have our homework.